I'm happy to answer, whether it's related to today's subject or not. Please feel free to ask a question. I will not see you. I can't see my audience, but I will be able to see the question. It'll come up on my screen. If you ask a question today, we will give you a coffee bean card. So I'm going to take that off for now because I don't want it to be obnoxious. There we go. So let's get into it. Very simply, a seller's market is when you have an overabundance of buyers in the market. That is to say, more than usual. And as a result, you've got a lot of people looking for a home. Again, as I said, more than usual. So what would the reason for that be? And there's basically two reasons for that. One reason, and this is regional specific, and you've heard me say many, many times on this blog that you really want to understand your specific market. That is the market that you live in within, say, 5 to 10 or square miles. That's a big difference. So there could be a seller's market in a lot of areas and then a buyer's market in another area. So the first thing that you need to understand, or the first thing you should seek out, is to find out whether your particular area is, for example, in a seller's market. Now, in a seller's market, again, as I said, there's probably an influx of people that have come into the area for whatever reason. Maybe it's new industry, as for example, in our particular area, we've had Yahoo, Google, and YouTube all move in within what we call the Silicon Valley area of Silicon Beach area of Los Angeles, and we've seen an influx not only of people, but also an influx of increased the ability for people to pay for higher end homes. So even though we were already high end homes in the area that I work in particular, we saw that even increase some more because of an influx of buyers. Now, that would be outside of, say, a general depression, or what's the word I'm looking for? Lost it. Not depression, but recession. Thank you. Thank you up here. A recession, a move like that would be separate. So even though in most of the country you would see possibly a buyer's market, in this particular area there's actually a seller's market. So that's an indication of how different it could be in a particular area. The other thing that creates an overabundance of buyers is low inventory. And that is to say that most people, for whatever reason, are very secure about their investment. They're not moving out. The particular area hasn't lost industry, and so most people are staying put. But people have to sell. There's a dozen or so more reasons why people have to sell, no matter what the market is doing. And so as a result, there's more buyers than sellers, and that therefore that creates a low inventory. So you've got a bunch of buyers and not too many houses on the market for sale, and they're all scrambling around and trying to find their dream home, and it's just not working out. So that's basically the definition of a seller's market. The seller has a lot of control. The seller has a lot of options because simply there's a lot of people in the grocery store. There's a lot of people that are shopping, so they can kind of sit back a little bit and take a look at their market and sort of figure out what they want to do. Now, one thing that I want to make you aware of, no matter whether the market is a seller's market or a buyer's market, it doesn't mean that people will price their house any cheaper. In fact, sometimes in a seller's market, you can overprice your house in a seller's market. You can overprice your house in a buyer's market. So as a buyer, I'll get into that next week as to how you can take advantage of that. But as a seller, understand that the principles of buying a house pretty much stay the same. To make matters really simple, what I'm going to tell you is this. No matter what the market is, there's three ways to sell a house. You can overprice your house, you can sell it at fair market value, or you can underprice your house. It's really that simple. Now, I've talked before on a subsequent vlog about what that means, and I break it down. But for today's purposes, just understand that that's the situation. Okay, so what happens for a seller in that regard, in the situation where there's a lot of people out there, there's a lot of people looking for your particular home. So what does it do? Well, it obviously creates the ability for you to have more choices. If you price your house at fair market value in a seller's market, you'll have a lot more choices and your ride will become a lot smoother if you can appreciate your position. If you're going to overprice your house, that's a different situation. You're probably going to take a lot longer time to sell your house. And the biggest mistake, and I've talked about this before on the show, is that in today's society, in today's marketplace, which has changed a great deal in just the last few years, the ability to keep someone's attention span is actually the most important commodity nowadays. It's not so much the price. You could have your house at a great price, but if for any reason the market sees that there's something up with your house or something wrong with your house, they'll pass it right up and they won't come back. If you're in a seller's market and you're not selling your house within, say, 10 to 20 days, you probably are overpriced, especially if you haven't gotten an offer. You're probably overpriced, and again, that's another discussion, but that's a good indication that you're overpriced. But more importantly, please refrain from doing that. And the biggest reason that you want to refrain from doing that is that once you lose your market, that is to say, once you lose your frontline people that are really out there, that are really willing to write a check today for your house. I know I say that sort of sarcastically because that's obviously not the way it happens, but they're willing to buy your house today or make an offer and make it reasonable. You will lose those people within a matter of days. Literally a matter of days. People look at their phones every day for a new listing, and if it doesn't match what they say or they investigate your home and it's not what they want, what do? They don't look back. They look at the newest listing that's going to come out. They're so motivated nowadays on their phones, because let's face it, everything's done on the phone nowadays, to find their home. And if they don't find it and you didn't place your particular house in the correct manner that you needed to place it, you're going to lose those people and your situation is going to be even more dire than it used to be. So if you have an overpriced house you haven't sold in a matter of a couple of weeks, chances are you're going to not sell for another few months. You missed the boat. There is a wave of people that are interested in your house for a short period of time. And that's probably the biggest change in real estate that we've had to tell sellers about. So again, you have the ability to shop your buyers, which is great. But again, don't miss that opportunity, because when that first wave of people come to take the time to come to your house, take a look and make an offer, those are the people that you want to negotiate with the most. Those are the people that are really out there, that have already had their heart broken maybe over another house that they weren't able to get, and they're willing to do whatever they can to get the house. Now, as a result, as a seller, of course, it's again a great situation, because you can choose, potentially in a multiple bid situation, who's the best candidate, who puts the most money down, who has the best credit score, what are the terms, which you've talked about in other blogs, what are the terms of the actual offer? Are they offering to get a loan in 10 days? Are they offering to do the inspection in a shorter period of time? Do they want to rent back? I mean, there's all kinds of options, and you don't want to miss the boat on that, because you can negotiate with one or two or three other people and come up with the best answer to most of your needs if you are respectful of the people that first come and offer on your house. So take advantage of that. Don't take advantage of that. I think I've talked about that. Let me see. Sell first. Okay. So I think I've talked about the biggest mistake that sellers make, and that is, of course, overpricing your house. But here's another thing. When we have a saying in real estate, usually the first offer is the best offer. Now, that's a very insecure thing for us to try to push upon a seller, and here's the reason why. If you put your house at fair market value and you get an offer right away, it's only instinctual, it's human nature to think, wow, if this person came right away and gave me what I wanted, maybe I can do a little bit better. And there's nothing wrong with the fact that that may be your perception. That's something as realtors we deal with every day. But we've also learned as realtors that generally that's the best offer that's going to come. It's not guaranteed, but it's going to be pretty close if it's or it's not going to be guaranteed, but it's possibly the best offer you're going to get. And this is the reason why. The reason why is that that person who's coming forward probably emotionally is already spent dealing with the market itself. That person knows that if I put my best foot forward and I show all my cards in the beginning, I have a better chance than, say, the next guy that's coming along. And that's what I want to do. I want this house. Now, the number of people that are going to do that for you is limited, no matter how you price your house. And so that's why we always say, really consider that first offer. Because that first offer, again, as I said, is emotionally entrenched in wanting to get a house. Again, as I said, has probably gone through a lot to get there, and they're putting their best foot forward. Don't underappreciate that. It's really a big deal. So consider the first offer very strongly, really break it down, and work with that person. Okay, so I'm at 15 minutes. I'm going to cut it off here. Those were a few tips. That's what we like to talk about on this program. We like to talk about some of the things that maybe you're not finding on Zillow or some of these other, believe it or not, now outdated forms of communication about our market. Because today I want to introduce to you, I have been talking about this and I talk about it at every blog, some new technology that's going to allow you to be able to shop so much faster nowadays. And it's called HomeSnap, and we're going to give it to you today for free. It's the Fournier HomeSnap option. And what you can do now is basically take a picture of any house in the country, any house in America, believe it or not. It doesn't have to be just where we live. It can be in Rhode Island. It doesn't matter where it is. Take a picture of that house, and it'll give you the value of the house. It'll give you the value of the houses next door to that house. It'll tell you about the schools in the areas. If it's listed, it'll tell you all the information about the particular listing. Again, it doesn't have to be listed. It'll still give you the information. It'll give you a market analysis of the house. And again, as I said, I think it gives walkability scores too. So it's like having Zillow in your hand. However, it's connected to a picture. So Zillow, truly, you're old school at this point. This technology is all across the nation, and we're very excited to give you a copy of it. All you need to do is we're going to put a link underneath today's program. Simply hit the link. We'll get your email, and then we'll send you the program. Then you can download it. Now, even better than that, we will be able to talk to you on this particular app. That is to say, if you take a picture of a home and you want more questions about the home, maybe you want to see the home right away, you can just talk to Randy and I right on the app. We'll see that you're on the app at that point. We won't see you when you're using it regularly, but when you actually communicate with us, we'll be able to communicate right back to you and tell you everything you need to know about that house. Now, even if that's out of Los Angeles, we're happy to actually talk to you as well. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but we do have a network of wonderful realtors all across the nation, actually all across the world, that we'd be happy to hook you up with. And more importantly, we can be objective, since we're probably not going to be working with you on that particular house, but we can certainly give you some ideas and refer you to the best possible person. Okay? So that's it. We'll see you next time, everyone, 10 o'clock on Tuesday. Next week, we're going to talk about the buyer's advantages, because the market is changing a little bit, and I think in short order, maybe in the next year or so, we're going to be seeing more of a buyer's market. So we'll see you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.